My name is Christine Hullum and I'm the Events and Membership Coordinator at Connecting Up, and would like to welcome you today to a special webinar on Adobe. You might already know that Connecting Up has just recently secured Adobe as one of our technology partners. So today's webinar is to tell you all about that program, what you can get from the Adobe program, and a little bit of an overview of each product. And obviously, if you would like to know more about any of the products that we're talking about, please drop a line on the question box, and we can address the issues and address the questions as we go along. And the presenter today is Ryan from Connecting Up, and he's used a lot of Adobe products himself, so he's one of the best people to present this webinar. So Ryan, I will pass it on to you now.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Christine. As Christine said, thank you, Christine. As Christine said, my name's Ryan, and I am the marketing coordinator here at Connecting Up. I've had a lot of experience using the Adobe software. I've also had a lot of experience with this program now, so I am here to answer any of your questions today about not just about the Adobe software itself, but how you can order Adobe, what you can order, how often you can order, and anything else relating specifically to the donations program and to how your not-for-profit can access some more Adobe software. So if at any point in the webinar you have a question, please use the question box, and I'll try and address questions as we go through the webinar, particularly when I start going through the products. If you ask straight away, I'll get them ticked off straight away. So, to start with, we have just launched the Adobe Donations Program. If you don't know that, you're probably in the wrong place. The Adobe Donations Program is a very limited program at this stage. Adobe have allocated a limited number of licenses to be donated to Australian not-for-profits per quarter. And so when the stock of a particular item has run out, then we will just put them out of stock on our website, and you'll have to wait until the next quarter to place that order, unfortunately. All of the Adobe donations are digital downloads. So once you place your order, within 10 working days you'll get your keys, and you can log on to a secure Adobe website and download whatever programs it is that you have requested a donation for. And it's very exciting. The Adobe donation program in the main is for both Windows and Mac OS. So I know there's a lot of Mac people out there that are really looking forward to this program. So I'll get into it in a bit more detail. So the main thing you probably want to know is how much can we order? The answer is one creative suite. So we have a couple of different creative suites, and I'll go into what a creative suite is in a little bit more detail later on. Or you can order 4 individual products. So we have Photoshop and Dreamweaver and a couple of other things like that. So to give you an idea of what that looks like, you have the one copy of CS6 Design Premium, which is a pretty common product. Or you might want 2 copies of Elements, a copy of Acrobat, and a copy of InDesign. So I will go through in more detail what all of these products are later on. So you can order either the suite on the left or the software on the right. You can't order both, and if you order a suite, you can't mix and match with other products in the range. So once you place an order for a suite, that's it for the financial year. Likewise, if you order a couple of the single products. In terms of how often you can order, it's a 1 order per financial year. So if you still had order allocation left, so you ordered 1 copy of Photoshop, that's all you can order for a financial year. So I really recommend that you have a good think about what you might require in your organisation before you place your order, and that way you can order, if you're not ordering a suite, if you're ordering a suite it's a lot easier because you're only ordering 1 product, but if you need Acrobat and Photoshop for your organization and you need multiple copies, then you might want to consider placing an order for the 4 licenses at once. So that's the basics of order limitations and order restrictions. Do we have any questions at this stage? No? Good. Okay. So now the most important part after that is what can you order? We're expecting Adobe Elements to be one of the most popular products in the range. Elements is a pack which has Photoshop Elements and Premiere Elements. So you get a simplified version of Photoshop designed for basic graphic editing and things like that, and you get a basic version of Premiere which is for video editing, which is a bit easier to use than Premiere Pro. And this is a good package for organizations that have been using Windows Movie Maker, Paint, any of those lower spec tools, and wants to take a step up without the same kind of learning curve as you would get with something as professional as Premiere Pro. So very easy to use, gives you both products, so you can order up to 4 copies of this, and you'll have 4 copies of Premiere and Photoshop for each computer. The only downside with this product is that it's Windows only. But there are a lot of built-in Mac tools that would offer you similar functionality. InDesign CS6 is another individual product that many organizations have been asking for. It's a desktop publishing program. It's ideal for producing print publications or newsletters. And you're actually able to put together all of the text for whatever publication it is you're producing and import it from Microsoft Office, which is a really useful feature because you can concentrate on your text in Office, make sure all of your grammar and spelling and everything like that is sorted, and then you can import it into your layout in InDesign. The big advantage that something like this has over Word is you get a lot more control over your layouts and you get a lot more professional an end result. And we actually use InDesign here to produce all of our flyers and printed collateral. Question?
Yes, Ryan. We have Carolyn Austin asking, she's currently using Publisher to create a community newsletter. Is there much overlap of skills with InDesign?
The basics, there is a bit of overlap because once you've been using Publisher, then you know basic tools about where to lay out your text fields and things like that. But InDesign would take everything to another level, so there would be a little bit of a learning curve, but if you're quite familiar with Publisher, then I wouldn't expect it to be quite as severe as if you had no desktop publishing experience whatsoever. Okay, so next up we have Dreamweaver CS6. I'd expect a lot of people may have heard about this before, or some people may even be familiar with it. Dreamweaver is a professional HTML editor for web design and development, compatible with all of the latest standards, including HTML5 and CSS3. If that doesn't mean anything to you, that's okay. You can use it to build modern websites, and it includes tools for building mobile websites now. It also, the new version also includes some features to help you develop websites that are able to be displayed on multiple devices with the same layout, so whether that's mobile, tablet, or desktop. It's got some really good features in terms of being able to connect to web servers and edit files directly, and it's also good for working collaboratively on websites. Some organizations would be using content management systems for their website, and so something like this may not be as useful as it might be for other organizations. But if you're using a plain HTML-based website, then this is a really good editor to be able to make changes to that. Photoshop Extended CS6 is the latest version of Adobe Photoshop. Hopefully those here are fairly familiar with Photoshop and what it is. It's probably the leading image editor in the world at the moment, one of the most used ones anyway. It's great for editing photos. It's great for creating graphics for online and for print. A lot of people use it to produce banner advertising and things like that. And this is the extended version. So the extended version includes more advanced tools such as 3D painting and some other things. One of the great things I find about Photoshop is it can actually be as complex as you want it to be. So I find that a lot of the things that I do in Photoshop, if I'm only trying to do simple things, they're not that difficult to do. Whereas if you want to do more complex designs, such as the image on the box art there, then that obviously gets a lot more difficult. But there are some great tutorials online from leading artists to give you an idea of what you can do with that. Acrobat Pro 11 is not out yet. We launched the program with Acrobat Pro 10, and Acrobat Pro 11 is now a part of the range and will launch hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Acrobat Pro 11 brings a couple of really cool tools in. I mean, as per all of the other versions of Acrobat that have preceded it, you can create PDF files, you can secure them so that only people with a password can view them, so that they can't be printed, things like that, which help keep whatever documents that you have secure. You can create forms. So if you need to create a form for people to register for a event you might be having, you can create the form within Acrobat so that they can add their details directly to that file and send it off to you. But the really cool part about Acrobat 11 is it allows you to export PDF files back to Microsoft Office. So it makes it easier for you to be able to edit them after you've already exported them to Acrobat. So for those of you who don't know what a PDF file is, it's a really great way of sharing documents, compressing them down so that they can be shared with other people. It's almost become a standard. Most people would have a PDF viewer on their computer, and you're pretty safe in the knowledge that if you export a Word file out into Acrobat, your fonts will be preserved and your layout will be preserved. So the person who receives your document is going to be looking at the same document that you've sent them, not something with completely different fonts and with things in different places. And we have a question.
Yes, Ken is asking if they've already got Acrobat 10, and they have 4 of those, when can they order Acrobat 11?
Did Ken get Acrobat 10 through the donations program already?
I would assume so, because he's got 4, and that's the limit of our order, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, he said yes.
Okay. If that's the case, we're still trying to chase down the support options in terms of these Adobe products, but I would say that at this point in time you'd have to wait until July 1 next year, so the end of the financial year. If you've already ordered your 4 licenses for the year and placed your order, then that would be the next opportunity you'd have to place an order. But as we learn more about the program, we will let you know. I'm running a bit ahead of time here, so if anyone has any questions, please feel free to throw them up, and I'll go through them as we go through the presentation.
Was asking if they can't just get a free upgrade.
That's what we're trying to check at the moment. Okay, so I've gone through the individual programs that are available through the donations program, and with the exception of the Elements pack, they're all available for Mac and PC. And I'm just going to answer one more question.
Just one or a few?
A few. All right, let's go.
Okay. If you have older PDF files, can you still export them to Microsoft Office?
I would say so, but I haven't actually had a chance to play with Acrobat 11 yet. So one of the other good things about these Adobe products that I haven't mentioned is, in general, all of them have 30-day trials available on the Adobe website. So you can download a free trial, you can use it, you can play with it, you can work out if it's the right solution for you, and then place your donation request. And I reckon that when I've used these 30-day trials in the past, they haven't been feature limited, they're just limited to 30 days. So you should get the whole range of the product and then be able to determine whether it can do what you need to do.
So do you know what the main differences are between Acrobat 10 and 11?
As far as I know, the big difference is the exporting to Microsoft Office. I mean, it's been possible in previous versions, but they've gone back and they've completely reworked this side of it to make it possible to basically do more in terms of exporting out.
What is available if we operate via a server?
If you're using remote desktop to access these, that may not be the best solution because they are quite graphics intensive, and when you're trying to use remote desktop over a network or an internet connection or something like that, they can be quite choppy to use. What I would probably recommend is that you install them on the computer that you're using, or actually no, that's probably what I'd recommend. You install them on your computer that you're using, or you use something like NetLeverage, which is a donation partner of ours, to run the software from the server on your actual computer rather than use remote desktop.
With your orders, can you combine Mac and Windows?
Absolutely. So if you needed 2 copies of Photoshop for Mac and 2 copies of Photoshop for Windows, that's not a problem.
To Acrobat, Joanna was just commenting that newer versions of Acrobat does give you the option to convert all PDFs to updated file versions. So that's just information from Joanna. Thanks for that. Kate is asking, she's got an Adobe Reader 9 and Acrobat 8. Does the Acrobat 11 include Reader, or do they need to upgrade or buy the later Reader? Because the current Reader is not working very well, apparently.
Well, Reader is actually a free download from the Adobe website, so you can uninstall that version of Reader whenever you're ready and just jump over to the Adobe website, and there should be a link on the home page to download the new version. And that's one of the reasons why the PDF is so popular, because a lot of computers now come free with Acrobat Reader, and of course Adobe make it available on their website for free as well. So let's just jump on there and just download a new copy.
Margaret is asking that although it's not available yet, can they place an order for Acrobat 11 now with other software and get 11 when it comes in?
Sadly not. You'll have to wait for Acrobat to be released.
When do you think that we will get Captivate through the program? I assume that's one of Adobe products, Captivate?
I might leave that for the end, that particular question. But yeah, we are looking at that.
I might leave some of the others at the end as well, so go on with...
Because I haven't covered a couple of products yet, so they're coming up. So have you got any more questions for now? No? Okay, cool. So if you need a couple of products out of this range, and you've got your limitations and things, then what's the best way to do? Well, this is where you would order a suite. So CS6 Production Premium is Adobe's creative suite that is designed specifically for video and audio editors. It includes tools for video editing, audio editing, motion graphics, vector graphics, DVD and Blu-ray creation. So some of the titles in this product that you may be familiar with include Premiere Pro, which is one of the standard programs that professional TV companies use for video editing. It's become very, very popular, especially with people moving there from the newest version of Final Cut Pro. In terms of audio editing, you get Adobe Audition, which is an excellent and pretty, compared to some of the other solutions, pretty easy to use audio recording tool. If anyone's ever used Apple's Logic, they'll understand that Adobe Audition is a breath of fresh air. You get Adobe After Effects, which is a great motion graphics program that you can use to create titles and animations and things like that. So vector graphics, you get a copy of Adobe Illustrator and a copy of Adobe Photoshop so that you can create graphics specifically for production. And of course, all the tools in this suite all have a similar interface, so it's relatively easy to transfer back and forth. All the files that you create are intercompatible, so that you can use your Photoshop file in Premiere very easily. And then when you've finished your video editing, you can export it out to a DVD or a Blu-ray if you've got a Blu-ray burner. Now the products in this suite are a big step up from something like Windows Movie Maker, and that's why we have the Elements package, which is a lot simpler and offers a lot of ease of use for people who are just stepping into video editing. But if you really want to learn a bit more about video editing, to go all out, then this is a great solution that is going to, you're really going to learn some skills here that the pros used. Creative Suite 6 Design and Web Premium is the other creative suite that we have. So it's designed for designers, and it includes tools for producing images for the web, print images, and web design. This is actually the package that I use here at Connecting Up. I use Photoshop to produce the images that go into the newsletters and the dedicated emails that you get. I use Photoshop to resize those images, compress them down to go out online. We use InDesign out of this suite to produce a lot of print communications. Illustrator comes in handy quite a lot for icons and vector graphics, and this really allows you all the tools that you need to be able to communicate with professional designers. If you're using professional designers, gives you all the tools you need to produce professional ads and things like that. And so all the tools are at your disposal. You just need to learn how to use it, I guess. The big learning curve after that. But like I said before, a lot of these tools are really great in terms of they're simple if you want to do something simple once you've learned how to do it, and then there is quite a learning curve to do some of the extraordinary stuff that you can see on the box images and other things like that. So if you're sitting there wondering which suite should I get, because I want some of these and I want some of these, both suites include Photoshop, Illustrator, Flash Professional, which is motion graphics and web graphics, Adobe Bridge, which is a program that basically allows all of the Adobe programs to talk to each other and share files, and Adobe Media Encoder, which is great for encoding videos so that they're ready to go up on the web, especially when you export a massive 20 gigabyte file and then you need to put it on YouTube. So what's the difference between the two suites? Well, Design and Web Premium is focusing on print and web design. So you're also going to get InDesign, Dreamweaver, Fireworks, which is another program designed specifically for producing web graphics. It's Ben Teo in our office, that's his favourite program in the range, and a copy of Acrobat 10. In terms of Production Premium, You're going to get Premiere Pro, which is obviously the top level video editing, like I was talking about before. After Effects, Audition, Encore, which is their DVD and Blu-ray production program. SpeedGrade, which is a pretty awesome new program that they've just added to CS6, which is designed for color grading and color altering your files out of Premiere. So that when you get to something like SpeedGrade, that's a pretty professional tool to use to color grade your files before they go on TV, basically. And Prelude. So you can see there, Adobe offer similar tools in both suites for a basic level. Your Photoshop, your Illustrator, they're what I would consider your standard tools. And then you need to decide which way your organisation needs to focus on and which program would work out best for you. That's great, Christine. Questions? Because we're up to questions.
Okay. Well, one question to do with CS6 design. Jessica is asking, if they order a CS6 design standard, how many computers can they install it on per license?
One. Yeah, they only allow one computer per license.
Desiree is asking if you require 64-bit PC for Premiere Pro.
Yeah, 64-bit. I think Premiere Pro 64, Premiere Pro CS6 is only 64-bit. I think some of the earlier versions they were allowed to go back and forth, but these days if you're trying to edit video, you really do want the 64-bit version, and you really do want the extra RAM in the computer to be able to do that.
Hannah is asking if there's any tool to help with WordPress. It's probably to do with Dreamweaver. I'm not sure. I'll go just generic.
You could get Dreamweaver to help with WordPress, but I guess it depends on what you want help with WordPress with. I usually find that WordPress they've gone out of their way to make everything online and quite easy to use. So more often than not, if you need help with WordPress, I'd usually recommend a WordPress plugin. Unless it's about customizing your themes in WordPress, in which case Dreamweaver would be a great solution.
Are you aware of any discounted Adobe software training for not-for-profits in the Brisbane area? I might probably just also mention that this is a very overview generic webinar, obviously, but if there is any specific product that you would like to know more about, that you would like to see a demo of, or just generally learn more about the functions and the features, we will send through an evaluation form, and then you can kind of let us know what you want to know more. But Ryan, do you know about any specific Adobe trainings in?
I know that Ben put together a great blog post on the Connecting Up blog the other day, which looked at some of the various sites that you could look through for tutorials. So if you go to connectingup.org/blog, that blog post will be there, and some of those tutorial sites, they have some really high-end professional designers explaining how to do work that they are doing in a way that a normal person can understand. So you'd be surprised at just how much is available online for free. I'm not aware of any discounted training out there at the moment, but that's definitely something that we'll be looking into. So I highly recommend that you fill out the evaluation form and let Christine know which tools you're after more training in, and that's definitely something that we'll be looking to help you with in the future.
And I think Adobe website also has some quick videos on different things.
Yeah, Adobe have a TV channel on their website where you can go watch videos of their tools in use and some of the different things. They also have some really great support forums on there, which are a combination of Adobe staff and very experienced Adobe users offering each other help. So sometimes if you're having a really random problem and you can't find a solution online, you go into the forums and you post up there, and there's usually somebody else there who's able to help you with that problem.
Because Berta is asking if there's somewhere online where someone can learn how to use the more advanced tools, so I assume the Adobe website will be the best place to go.
Well, not just the Adobe website, definitely the blog posts that Ben put up. Some of those tutorial websites that he's mentioned are, I'd probably say, some of the best, and they might even have more information than the Adobe website in certain areas.
I will send through the link to that blog post, by the way, on the follow-up email. So yeah, I'll just check it out a little bit later today. A few other questions. When do you think we may be able to access Lightroom 4? And I don't know if we addressed the Captivate one before as well.
Now, we haven't addressed the Captivate one and Lightroom. At this stage, not aware of any more products being added to the donation range, but this is a new program for Adobe in Australia. They're currently working to expand their donation program into more countries, and as they do that, they'll learn a bit more about what non-profits require and what additional products need to be added to the range. In the meantime, I'd highly recommend that you email our customer support team about any product that you might need that isn't listed in the range at the moment, and any products that you might need after you've used your yearly allocation. So if you can't order again this year, email customer support and let them know what you're after, and they will try and help you.
So talking about order, Jessica has just like to clarify, when can they order and how?
You can order as of now, as long as your organization is eligible for Adobe. So all you have to do is go to the Connecting Up website, just click on the links to the Donatech page, and just add once you're logged in, just make sure you're logged in, and then you just add the Adobe products to your cart that you need, and that's it. We'll let you know when your product's ready.
And relating to orders, aside from meeting the charity criteria, how are orders allocated, or are all orders filled if the product is still in stock?
If a product is still in stock, all orders are fulfilled and allocated on a first-come, first-served basis. So as soon as your order is complete, so it has to be placed and paid for, then your order will be sent out.
Going back to Adobe's involvement, do you know if there are any plans for further involvement from Adobe with Australian not-for-profits, like grants, projects, etc., outside just the product?
Not that I'm aware of, and that's not something that we get involved with at this stage.
What are the computer requirements for the CS6 design suite?
It's a great question. I might go and have a look at that for you.
Ryan is looking it up. Joanna is asking if there are any plans for hands-on workshops with Adobe products. Not at this stage, but as I mentioned earlier, if you let us know on your evaluation form on any specific tools, and if you want a specific workshop, just type it, just fill that out, and then we can see if there's enough interest. Definitely we can consider running a workshop for the Adobe.
Okay, so I'm not sure if anyone saw how I got there on the screen, but just go through the website, and then if we go down to the bottom of this page here, if you're on Windows, the minimum hardware requirements are a Pentium 4 and an AMD Athlon 64 processor, which are pretty old processors these days. 2 gig or more of RAM, 32 gig minimum for 32-bit is what they recommend, and 8 gig for 64-bit systems recommended. If you're doing, in terms of design and web premium, I think that's probably a bit overkill in terms of the 8 gigabyte minimum. But if you're using if you're using Production Premium and you're doing video editing, I'd get all the RAM you can get your hands on. I recently had to upgrade the RAM in my computer, and I found that I could get it really well priced actually. I think I got 16 gig for a laptop for about $80, so RAM is pretty cheap these days, and I'd recommend that you go with as much as you can get your hands on. 11 gig hard drive, any decent display these days, any decent flat screen display would be fine, so 17-inch or bigger. A decent graphics card will help you a lot. But all of these requirements look like they're based on a computer that's about 4 or 5 years old, so you should be pretty good. And you need to be able to download the files, which are about 5 gig. So I'm looking through these recommendations, and if you are around the minimum spec, I'd probably recommend that it's time to upgrade your computer. I know that any majority of the computers we offer through our refurbished program would meet these specs, and the dual core processors are also quite heavily used by some of the video editing software, especially when you are exporting your files. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully that's not too much of an information overload, but if you've got any follow-ups, follow-up questions, let me know.
Since the license is only for one computer, if someone changes their PC, how can this be transferred to a new PC?
You can actually uninstall the software, and when you uninstall it, it offers you the option to, I think the wording they use is deactivate the software and to install it on your new computer. I had to do that a bit earlier this year, and it was no problems at all.
Does anyone have any other questions on specific use of the products? If you're already using the product and just would have questions on how to use certain things, or just in general about the program, we do still have a bit of time left, so shoot them through if you have any more. But otherwise, it seems like I've got a few comments. Just people like to have a demo on Dreamweaver, on InDesign, and would like to get the e-learning suite added to the list for future. But yeah, we don't seem to have any more questions.
With the e-learning suite, that's another one that I'd recommend that you email through to customer support and see if they can help you out with that.
Well, Ryan, looks like that's the end of the questions. Do you have anything else to add? Actually, Rob is now asking how much difference between CS5 and CS6?
CS6, the interface is a bit nicer. Depends on what you do, I guess. In general, I don't find that there's a huge difference. And like I said, the interface is a bit nicer, so it's a bit nicer to work in. Some of the things are laid out slightly differently, which I personally prefer. But I would say in general, if you've got a copy of CS5, it may not be worth upgrading unless you had a real need. So in the case of us at Connecting Up, we had a need to upgrade because we had some people doing some design work for us in CS6 that we couldn't open properly. So that was the main reason why we upgraded to CS6.
Can you get a hard copy of the Adobe CS6 program?
No, you can't. All the licenses are being offered as electronic downloads. So if you're unable to download the 5 gig file, then you may need to make alternative arrangements for somebody to download the image and burn it onto a disk for you.
Well, great. Well, one last comment from Joe. Oh, actually, so another question came through. Can InDesign Windows files be converted to Mac and vice versa for use on both?
There's no need to convert them. You can just natively open them. Whether it's Windows or Mac, it doesn't matter as long as it's CS6. But you can't open a CS6 InDesign file in CS5 or even CS5.5, but it is possible in CS6 to export it as a file that will be compatible with older versions regardless of whether they're Mac or PC.
Okay, I think that's really it, and I thought I'll tell you one last comment from Joanna that she thought it's nice to end with Sean.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it's great. Yes, it's great.
I guess on that note, I'd like to thank Ryan again for facilitating the webinar. Thank you for everyone who participated and asked questions. Don't forget to fill out the evaluation form and tell us what you want to know more about, because we are crafting content for next year. So it would be good to know what else we can add to help you with your learning and understanding more about the programs that we run. Other than that, I will be sending you a link to the recording so you can catch up a bit later as well if you want to know more, and also a copy of the slides. Well, in that note, thank you and have a good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.